This is an example of a very well constructed rod building in an excavation or crater with nearby rod structures. Here you'll see smaller rod structures and very definite square patterns or courtyards. This is at a height of 680 meters. As we go further up, a little bit easier to make out the pattern, and we'll then see, as normally happens, there's a very big grouping of these structures together, and a very common pattern is all the towers around a crater. So they seem to have a predilection for going around craters. Here we have rod structure there. We'll just do a quick measurement. We'll see the shadow as well. That's 100 meters, so that's nearly 35-40 stories. We've got the shadow and again that square area around it. So again, some of these structures are not small by any means. Here we have a very nice collection here as well. It shows a very nice type of pattern, and also square patterns around it, which generally are excavations of courtyards. Here we have a very nice pattern as well. Shadows happening. So just as we browse randomly, we'll see all these other rod structures. Here we've got a horizontal one on the edge there. Many there in the craters. This is a very similar pattern to the Tychos crater, where you'll see the towers around the canyons or the craters, except the Tychos is very dry and barren. There's no greenery there as here, which we assume is a vegetation. That's a very nice pattern there, and it shows some sort of excavation around the actual rod structure itself. And you'll see there's about 3 in that grouping there, and it's very rugged terrain. So now we just randomly, it's about 5.3 kilometers. So as we go about 8 kilometers up, you just see these rods everywhere in this area. They're very dense. Some are horizontal in the craters, some are pointing straight up. We can discern the green shades coming in. All sorts of patterns are seen, and generally the patterns are not repeated. They all have a different type of pattern form. So obviously it isn't like Earth, where you got a battle axe blocks and roadways and similar structures happening everywhere. So we're just zooming over the landscape as and again it's all over these areas here. Just zooming down there, we see this is a very good example as well. You see the rod building, you'll see that little shadow on the side, and a definite type of square walled, rectangular wall excavation around it. That there as well. I'm not sure if these are courtyards or walkways, but that becomes interesting as well. The whole area is scattered. Again, there isn't anything there that looks like it's human construction, or, as I mentioned, American, Russian bases down here. These are all alien in forms to me. There isn't anything here that resembles anything that humans would actually construct. It's interesting structure there. So just by zooming all over the landscape here, some areas are very barren, so it's virtually like some hilly areas, but even if we zoom in 1 or 2 hilly areas, you'll see again structures everywhere and things that resemble passageways, and there's a courtyard configuration there as well. There's a tower coming out of that excavation. So the process is not that difficult. We see a very bright area down there as we zoom in. Obviously this hasn't been labelled before. The area around is very hilly. You've got greenish type of tinge to it. We assume it's vegetation. And here we go again. We've got towers which are very bright, popping up. There's one in the middle. That area has a very poor resolution. This looks a bit better as we zoom into this one here. This hasn't been labelled, so you'll see that 2 or 3 rod-like structures. You'll see a definite square around it, some other excavation types. And again, surrounding that area, there isn't anything there. If we use a ruler to measure that width of that construction, it's about 120 meters wide. So they're not small by any terms, they're fairly large structures. So that's the process of actually finding these things. We're at a height of about 5.5 kilometers now. Obviously we see something in this area here. We'll zoom in, and again we have that common pattern occurring. There's a crater, very dark. We can't see the bottom of it. We have a horizontal rod happening in this area here. That's 170 meters wide. We have here a rod, a building. The area around it looks excavated, and on the other side we have this very bright zigzag-like wall happening around the edges, and again smaller type of rods down here, for instance. I repeat, there are no streets, there aren't any things or pipes or evidence of sewers or things like that we have on Earth, or power lines or anything like that. We have this area down here now, coming down here. Again, here it is. It's a rod type building. You see the fine white lines around the excavation.